Welcome to Empower Hour, your go-to podcast for all things disability and independence, brought to you by Abilities, your disability and aging experts. I'm co-host Afton Harper.
And I'm Julie Jordan. Listen in as we dive into real stories, resources, and meaningful conversations that empower individuals with disabilities to live life to the fullest.
Whether you're tuning in for advocacy, inspiration, or practical tips, you're in the right place.
This is Empower Hour, because independence isn't a destination, it's a journey.
I want to take a minute to tell you about some of the services we offer here at Empower Abilities. We're all about helping people with disabilities live as independently as they want. That could mean helping someone find housing, navigate Medicare, get connected with benefits, or learn skills for daily living. We offer individual case management, advocacy, peer support, and information and referral. Basically, we help people find what they need and figure out how to get it. We also have home modifications, like ramps, grab bars, or walker steps, plus assistive technology, recycled medical equipment, and if you need a hearing aid, we can help with that too. Everything from evaluations to repairs. And for those who need a little extra help at home, we offer consumer-directed services and veterans-directed care, things like transportation and meal prep, housekeeping and personal care. But it's not all services and paperwork. We also host social clubs, support groups, and community events, so people can connect, have fun, and build relationships. Because independence doesn't mean isolation. So if any of that sounds like something you or someone you care about might be interested in, give us a call or check out our website at empowerabilities.org. We're here to help, and we love what we do.
Welcome to November's episode of Empower Hour, the podcast where we talk about living independently, staying connected, and navigating life with confidence at any age and any ability. I'm Julie Jordan with Empower Abilities, and with me is
Afton Harper.
Hello, Afton.
Today we're diving into something that affects most everyone this time of year. Holiday stress, why it feels so heavy, and how we can find some peace, joy, and balance in the middle of it. For many people, the holidays are fun and festive, but for others, they bring pressure, overwhelm, grief, and financial stress, routine changes, and sensory overload. And when you're living with a disability, dementia, Alzheimer's, hearing loss, those challenges stack up fast.
They do stack up fast, and that's exactly why we've invited a friend of ours who brings both heart and experience to this topic. We have Mark Applegate. He's with SeniorAge, and Mark is a longtime advocate for older adults. He's a passionate volunteer for the Alzheimer's Association, and he's also someone with deep insight into the emotional ups and downs of the season. We also have Taylee Gregg, who is our hearing instrument specialist with Empower Abilities. So welcome to both of you.
Hey, thank you very much. It's exciting.
Yes, I'm glad to be back on the podcast. Thank you.
So today's conversation is all about giving yourself grace, setting boundaries that protect your well-being, and creating a holiday season that helps you feel calm, is meaningful, and accessible for the people that you love.
Yeah, so grab a warm drink, settle in, and let's get started. This is Empower Hour.
So let's start with some of these alarming facts that we've found, Afton. What do you think?
Well, I can't believe this first fact. Nearly half of U.S. adults describe their stress levels during the holiday season as high or very high. And that's the American Psychological Association.
Yeah. In a 2023 survey by the American Heart Association, 63% of their respondents said that the holiday season is more stressful than, get this, tax season.
Wow.
That was a hard one to imagine, too. And 79% of them said that they overlook their own health needs during the holiday.
There was also a study, a fairly recent American Psychiatric Association poll, that said 31% of adults said that they expect this holiday season to be more stressful than last year.
Why do you think that is?
Well, among the listed stressors were affording gifts and holiday meals. Another American Psychiatric Association.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later in the hour about, gift affordability and some different ways that you can do gift exchange or different activities, not focusing so much around gifts. So you can look forward to that in just a little bit. And in a broader figure, 80% of Americans in one survey said that the expectations and events around the holidays cause them increased stress. And additionally, 28% reported that they get much less sleep during the holiday season.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'm still back at the tax one. I'm thinking you can cheat your taxes, but you can't cheat Santa Claus, is what I'm thinking. So,
That's a very good point.
I was just thinking I sleep more during the holidays because it gets cold and the sun sets faster. And I also wonder if that doesn't contribute to a little bit of the stress, is just having shorter daylight hours. There could be something there maybe.
oh, for sure.
Now, see, I'm just the opposite, Taylee. I don't sleep much anyway, but during the holidays, I probably do sleep less because I stress about getting things done, making sure everything's the way it should be. I'm a last minute shopper, so I'm not even thinking about wrapping or purchasing until the week before Christmas. And yeah, number one procrastinator here.
Yeah, I'm a homemade gifts person, and so this past month has already been busy for me.
Mm-hmm. I've got the paintbrushes out, and I'm starting some of those homemade gifts this year. So yeah, waiting until the last minute. So why the holidays feel overwhelming? How about, what do you think? Like increased expectations from family traditions and social events? What are some other things that might make you feel overwhelmed?
Strained family dynamics or loneliness. A lot of people are struggling right now because they may not know how to connect with their family, or they may be feeling increasing loneliness if they don't have someone to connect with. Maybe they don't have family anymore.
Growing up, when you say strained family dynamics or just big families or busy families, growing up, seemed like we always had a celebration at one person's house, but everybody came there. So, the grandkids, the kids, everybody gathered in one place. But today, to me, it seems like, or especially in our family, there's so many places to go and the kids feel like they have to go everywhere. And, to help detain their stress a little bit, I keep trying to encourage them, don't think you have to go and eat at every place or, visit every single place. As adults, we understand, come here this year and go there next year, switch it up, or go one place to eat dinner and another place to eat dessert, or, little things like that can help maybe relieve a little stress on them during the holidays.
Yeah. And I especially think with gift giving, going to all those different houses can be challenging to try to give gifts to everyone you expect to see.
Let's go ahead and just talk about that topic here, about gift exchanges and some, I grew up in a family where you bought everybody gifts. And at one point in time, there was like 30 people at a family gathering. We bought gifts for everybody. And some of them I had never even met, or maybe I hadn't even seen, and, since the Christmas before. And, it just got to be, as new children came into the family, it's like, I can't do this anymore, So finally somebody was brave enough to say, let's draw names. So there you go. Draw names.
Yeah, or in my family, we try to get the littlest kids all pitch in to get them a lot of gifts. And then with the adults, we do like a white elephant. Mm-hmm. So we cap a price. We all bring a gift, sometimes funny gifts. Actually, this year for mine, I bought, I don't know, many people know, but the clown from the movie, I bought a Chia Pet version. And that's going to be my white elephant gift. It's pretty cool, but I'm looking forward to whoever gets that and seeing their reaction. But we do that. We all kind of pitch in for the littlest kids and the teenagers, and then we do white elephant for all the adults.
Now, we did a kind of a white elephant last year, and this is probably going to become a tradition, but you know how you always collect so much stuff around the house that just sits. And so last year we all found something in our house. We didn't have to go buy anything. Found something in our house that's just sitting or is still boxed or whatever, but it's not being used, something we didn't want. We wrapped it up, and then we did a dirty Santa exchange. So whoever got stuck with it, it may show up again this year. We don't know. But, I think my dad or my brother threw in a blender, and my daughter got that, and she was the happiest child. It didn't have to be silly or weird. It was just something that was unused that was doing nothing at one house and could serve purpose at another.
Kind of like upcycling, sort of.
Upcycling, there you go.
Yeah.
So what other traditions might you have, Afton?
Yeah, my family, we like to do like a white elephant exchange. Mm-hmm. So we will all get like cheap under $25 gifts, and we will do like the whole little like rotation in a big circle, and just whoever lands with the item, you can steal the item
dirty
from
Santa
another
concept.
person, but just once,
Right?
Just once, and so sometimes you end up with something great, and sometimes that's okay. Mm-hmm. You got some random twinkle lights that maybe have been burnt out for a little while, but that's okay.
And then there's a good old, name draw. If your family gets to be really large and you still like the concept of gift exchange, start drawing names. So you're limited, you have to get a spending limit on it, but then you just have to purchase one gift instead of 20. Yeah. So there's some helpful tips for y'all, and we hope you can find some of those useful in your upcoming gift exchanges. But, holidays aren't always about gift exchanges, and if your focus isn't on gifts, then just skip it. Just enjoy the family time, and that's just one way to take a little less stress off your shoulders.
I mentioned that in a previous thing we'd talked about recently. I can't remember any of the gifts I got as a kid, but I can remember all the experiences. I can remember hanging it as a family. We always do the wrapping paper at each other, I don't know. I mean, there's a few gifts I can remember growing up, but I've had 54 years of Christmases. Uh-huh. I can only think of a half dozen gifts I've ever really got. It just kind of falls into the collective of all your stuff. And but boy, the seeing people again for the first time in a couple of years, and we had a wedding at one of our family Christmases one year. All sorts of things happen. So I focus on the experiences and the meaningfulness more than the bulk of the gift.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah, and for my family, it was always about the food.
Yeah.
We've always been big eaters, so that's something where we did potluck style. Somebody might make a few extra dishes because they're the ones hosting, but then we all bring at least something. Like, oh, I'll bring the pumpkin pie, you bring this, and then it's not all the pressure on one person.
They always ask me to bring the cups. I don't know why, if they just don't have any faith in my cooking. I don't know.
Well, that brings up a good point of topic here of one way that we can help our older adults, aging, those with disabilities, take a little bit of burden off of their shoulders with helping bringing those holiday meals.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some aging grandparents really appreciate it whenever we bring rolls or salad or something that adds to the meal. We all want to still feel included and be able to join in. So still letting people make parts of the meal, but maybe you buy the turkey instead of make it at home. Maybe that's just a little easier on you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good way to de-stress as far as budget concerns go. If, budgeting is hard around the holidays and you're worried about the stress of gift buying and budgeting for meals, as you had said in the one study, everybody in the family bringing one item can reduce the cost that maybe just the host or hostess have.
And maybe your role in this whole meal process is cleaning up afterwards. That might be because oh my goodness, in some of my family stuff, it's like a zoo for everyone eating. It's like a
And then it's a
hyenas.
race to get that prime position on the couch.
Oh yeah, exactly. But at the end, there's everyone's plates everywhere and everyone's messes everywhere. Use the paper plates and clean them all up for everybody.
Right. Now, and we did talk about that one too a few days back about paper plates at the holidays. We go back in family history, and my grandmother, my mother would choke on the thought of using paper plates at a fancy holiday. But one time we did it. And I think she was cringing her teeth the whole time that we used a paper plate, but it just made things so much simpler for that one year. So that's an option. They make nice, pretty gold plates and gold silverware, so you could spruce it up a little bit, but it sure makes cleanup a lot easier.
And for those of us who don't want our food to touch, they make the ones with the compartments.
There's one in every crowd, Taylee.
That way too.
It's a sensory thing, that's okay too.
Yeah, I know. Even I go to Friendsgivings as well.
Mm-hmm.
I go to sometimes my friends' Thanksgiving. So my best friend, I always go over to her house the day before she has her Thanksgiving for her family, and and then I stay with her and help the day of the Thanksgiving because she really appreciates having the extra hands to prep the day before. So I don't always bring something, but I bring my time, my efforts, and my ability to help the day before.
So some of the things that maybe cause stress, aside from the meals and cleanup and things like that, but mobility challenges can often be a stressor, as far as the travel concerned in getting from one place to another and the accommodations at the destination that you're going to. Oftentimes a person with a disability might not be the host of an event, but is expected or, goes to another location where the setup is not quite accommodating for them. And so how do you get over that obstacle? Any suggestions? I mean, it's a discussion probably you could have ahead of time.
That's what I was going to say too. Planning ahead of time. A person with dementia, my little space, I help taking all the loose carpets out, maybe some of the extra furniture, move out to where there's less things to trip over. Look for things that are fall hazards. Pets, maybe secure them in different places so you have a bigger crowd and you have seniors that are more likely to fall. Maybe secure the pets a little bit more, bring them to them instead of having them run wild over the house. I don't know. Yeah, just look for the ways that might cause a problem and address them in advance.
There's been a lot of discussion too on scents, smells, the different fragrances at gatherings. What's the correlation on that?
Yeah, from what I understand, it can be overwhelming to the senses to have a lot of smells in someone's but if someone has a sensory disability or maybe is sensitive to certain smells, but I think some of those quick fixes, like maybe you have Glade plugins, maybe you unplug those just for the time being, you can plug them in later, or you don't necessarily have to ask your guests to not wear deodorant.
Right.
I'm more meaning like, you can say, hey, can you please refrain from using, colognes or perfumes?
Your lavender scent doesn't blend well with the turkey. No, that's things that I think everybody should take into consideration when you're having guests over in general. Just to think about what's, especially if they have a disability or if they're aging, what is in my home right now that might create stress for somebody or an obstacle or just an unnecessary hazard.
And if you feel like you can't remove the barrier, maybe there's another meeting spot. Maybe there's a restaurant that you can all meet, or maybe there's I know in Springfield the libraries have meeting areas, so maybe you have a little potluck at the library. I know that seems a little unorthodox, but the library is fairly accessible, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to gather somewhere else.
That's a great idea. Senior centers, churches, you name it, clubs, your Rotary probably would have a building they could use and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Good thoughts. So a little bit of some signs of holiday depression. And Mark, I know you've probably experience that a little bit more with your line of work because you do a lot with Alzheimer's and dementia, and that holidays can be really depressing for people. And I know you've personally experienced that. What are some of the signs that you look for in a depressed individual?
Oh, probably the same for anyone with depression. Maybe not seniors. It's kind of works all the same for about anybody. Quieter, more sleepy, less engaged. I have to think about that a little bit. I know it's a big time of year for depression, which is really sad because it's also a joyous time of year, But like me, for instance, my mom died July 2nd of 24, and I'd already kind of pre-grieved her passing away because she'd had dementia for 14 years. I was kind of ready for it. But then the holidays start coming up, and it'd been a year or almost a year, and you start thinking of all the traditions, and you break out the ornaments. Oh, I got that one from Mom, and you think, oh, and a lot of things spring back,
Right.
And the smells, the sounds, all the different things come back and bring you, right back there and stuff. So yeah, you definitely need to be cognizant of people's. Not everyone is completely joyous, but try to help them find joy as best you can.
I think some of the other things that we could look for maybe is people that withdraw from usual activities.
Sure.
People overly sleeping or not sleeping enough.
And just, kind of a loss of interest in the way traditions used to be.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother putting the tree up this year, that sort of thing. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. The people that used to be the Clark Griswold family, and now suddenly they're not even, doing anything.
I don't put up a tree, but usually just because I'm lazy and my aunt's going to have a great big old one for me to enjoy.
That works.
When the festivities move to your house, though, I'm sure that will change.
That will change if they do, yes.
So let's talk a little bit about how to support someone who's struggling around the holidays.
Okay. If I were maybe approaching somebody, let's say you and I are in the same house with Dad, okay? And I'm looking at you, how's Dad doing? Rather than, Dad, how are you doing? Asking the individuals rather than speaking as if they're not in the room.
Yeah.
Goodness, that happens so much with Alzheimer's. I can't tell you how, and it gets to be a pet peeve too, because you're seeing it happen right in front of you. This person's talking to the one next to them, but they're talking about the one next to them, and why not just? It's a train wreck. I agree completely with that. Oh, yeah. It's not showing dignity at all. It's making the disease even worse, if that could be a case,
I think probably with Alzheimer's and depression, they have moments where they remember things and other moments where they don't. So if the conversation doesn't lead to them being able to answer, then of course somebody can jump in so there's not an awkwardness with the person. Yeah. But I think always addressing people before side people.
Yeah, that makes sense. And set them up for a win if you can. Don't ask them a bunch of hard questions that are going to set them up to be confused or frustrated, but set them up with a win by giving them something easy to talk about, or minimal choices. But let's talk about the holidays, and what are some things you liked about the holidays, that sort of thing. Keep it really simple and let them have a win out of it too.
Mm-hmm. Also, it can happen to people with hard of hearing or hearing loss, feeling like maybe they're not seemingly engaged in the conversation. And so people just start talking about them rather than to them. So just a reminder that it could also be a hard of hearing person, and that you should really get their attention first, or anyone with dementia, Alzheimer's, if you get their attention first, just slow down your conversation, talk clearly, and look at them and help them feel engaged might have a better response.
That brings up a whole nother topic, and often we've talked about this in the past too, about hearing loss and isolation. Mm-hmm. How people who have hearing loss, they become disengaged, and which often leads to depression, also because they lose their friendships or they lose their community engagement, and I can't hear conversations, so there's no point me going and having dinner with my family or friends, or I can't go to the Christmas carols this year because I can't hear the music.
Well, and even, I know Taylee and I have talked about this, even people who do end up receiving hearing aids, sometimes they don't use them during the holidays because it's a sensory experience. It can be loud and overwhelming, and maybe they're still adjusting to those sounds. So I think that's also something a lot of people with hearing loss are dealing with during the holidays.
Yeah, I think it's overall can be overwhelming for anybody. And I do encourage anyone with hearing aids to wear them all of the time. Use your volume control if you do have a large, loud family like myself. And of course, families can help with communication beyond wearing hearing aids. I'm a big advocate for people in each other's lives helping them. And so some of the things you can do, again, besides looking at them when you talk, have good lighting so they can see your face. Position yourself, if you're hard of hearing, in a place where you can see everyone's face in the group. Talking slowly, reducing background noise. So if you guys are playing music at the family get together, turn it down. Maybe mute the television if you've got the football game on in the background, which isn't everyone's favorite, but it would really help. And again, if you're going to meet off-site, to reduce any other barriers like the library or something, try to find places with carpet. Maybe don't rent out a gymnasium. That's probably not going to help anyone with hearing loss. So just kind of think about the environment and the acoustics in the environment, and that can also help quite a bit.
Okay. And some other points of helping somebody who might be struggling, keeping the plans maybe simple, being flexible. As we age, we all slow down a little bit. If we have a disability, we might be a little bit slower, and recognizing that. And, instead of a 3:00 event, maybe we need to push it back to 4:00 this year. And that holds true for all families. We've got young kids now, and I know it's chaotic trying to get everybody ready. And so I know they're not going to be here at 10:00. So I'm going to say we're going to eat at 2, and hopefully they'll be there at 3 when we really do eat. So always give enough time and plan ahead.
My family functions on that time frame, rather than you get here at 3:00. My family's always been between 3 and 5, whenever you get here, it's fine. We'll just have it all spread out, and you just take your pick.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good idea. Maybe not set a exact dinner time, but a buffet time where you get here, you can
love the holiday grazing, don't you?
Yeah, just come and eat and enjoy whenever you get here, and there's no set time. And my husband's really bad about that. If we say we're going to eat at 2, you better be in this door at 2:00, because that's when we're sitting at this table. And it's like I'm trying to break him of that, because we do have little ones in the family now, and it just doesn't always happen that way. So flexibility, I think, is really important.
Yeah, and encouraging breaks and quiet time during those gatherings. And that doesn't have to be structured, but maybe I'm going to step outside. You want to come with me? Or we're going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to get something to drink. Do you need a minute? A lot of people throughout history would take smoke breaks, and that's kind of their smoke break.
Yeah.
You can always hide in the bathroom if you need to. That's a sure, quiet place. No one's going to interrupt.
That's true. Right. Very true. So I think also maybe letting people express their feelings, validating experiences and feelings without judgment, I think is also really important. And then one final thing that I thought, as I look back in our family history, is helping, especially the aging population, helping our elders with shopping routines, whether it be for gifts or groceries or whatever that might be. That's the thought of getting out in the mall and shopping, or going to Walmart on a week before a holiday is kind of daunting to myself. I can imagine how it would be to other people. So, offering to pick up the groceries, or at least accompanying them for moral support, so to speak.
Yeah. And something that, as far as shopping around the holidays, it can feel stressful for anyone. And so don't be afraid to order online, and don't be afraid to order pickup, or if you're really not comfortable ordering a bunch of things, you can do handmade gifts too. Handmade gifts are thoughtful, and people with disabilities, they want to just be involved. So really, they want to be equal participants. So really, it's all about just getting your family involved.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mark, your history, I want to let you talk a little bit about this. Having a loved one in a nursing facility. It can be sad for a lot of families to have to go to a nursing home to see their loved ones during a holiday. It's hard because maybe they can't get out and come be with you. How do you get over, or how do you prepare yourself for events like that?
Yeah, with my mom, I visited her a whole bunch when she was in nursing home. She was there for 6 years. Holidays were particularly challenging because you knew that it was going to be, the routine was going to be completely off. So if you go into it with the idea that it's very possible this isn't going to go quite as smooth as it would normally go, and have kind of lower expectations, keep it really simple like the previous statement was kind of. I always did that. I'd call in advance and find out how she was doing. It's really wasn't a big problem with my family, the other 3 different people on the holidays. Usually the 3 or 4 days after was always the big problem, because their routine would be all out of whack. They'd use all their cognitive reserve on the holiday. They'd be on their A game, and then they'd just be exhausted when it's over, So I'd try to be, observant of that, and go back and visit them the next day with, something that would lighten their load a little bit.
Cup of hot cocoa and an extra blanket or something.
Never go wrong with that. Exactly. Absolutely. We love that.
Well, and for people with disabilities who may be struggling and don't have a diagnosis at the moment, or family who may be spotting some concerning behavior or something that may be a red flag, this is probably the time of year that they'll see it too, because you're seeing your relatives a little more.
That's a great point. It's a great way to find out about your loved ones. This is, are they showing up? Are they still dressed to the hilt like they used to? Are there, is their hygiene being kept up? Are they cheery and happy, or have they all of a sudden gone into a lull, moment that's not their typical personality? Those are a lot of things that you can look for over the holidays. Like you said, if you are regularly around them, or even if you're not, if you just notice the tone in their voices or sadness in their eyes, something's up, and it's a great time to address or think about addressing these types of issues.
Boy, it was very true. My mom, that's when we first figured out that she was struggling with dementia. At the Thanksgiving time, we were playing a game that required you remember everyone's name, and you call out their name. It's kind of a charades game. I don't remember what the game even was, but you had to call their name, and she wouldn't play with us because she couldn't remember a lot of our names. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh no, she can't remember my name? I've been her son for my whole life, But because when you're talking to them on the phone all year long, they have time to answer. There's not a lot of stress. There's not a lot of being put on the spot. But you get there where you have longer than 15 minutes to talk to them. Like you said, it's going to be you'll see things you hadn't seen before in how they're actually doing, for sure.
And this is also a good time to spot maybe equipment they might need. Maybe grandma is having trouble getting into the shower. Mm-hmm. And so she may need a shower chair. She may, you may just need to install some grab bars. And these are, small things that can get put in people's homes that will make it a little easier to get around and keep them living independently.
Wish we had an organization that had that kind of thing available to people. Is there someone around here that does that? Oh, wait.
I think you're talking to him, Mark. You bring up a good point after there, too. Lift chairs or walkers, something to sturdy yourselves. If you notice your loved one having problems just standing up after sitting for a while, that's a good indicator.
Or if you notice yourself having trouble following group conversations or not understanding when you're with your family, it might be a good time to get a hearing test done after the holidays and start yourself off good in the new year, getting that hearing test.
Well, let's talk a little bit about creating joy for people over the holidays. We were talking depression and stress, and what can we do to create a little joy for the season?
Focusing on meaningful, not expensive moments. Mm-hmm.
And that's key, moments. Not gifts, but moments.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of hugs, but not everyone in your family may like physical touch, so just be mindful of boundaries. But I'm one of those people who likes the 20-second hug. They say, I've heard studies, on the radio and stuff, that you need 20 seconds to really start to feel those good, serotonin, endorphins, yes. And they even say, we should all be getting about 12 hugs a day.
Oh, wow.
So I think the holidays is a good time to get those hugs in because, again, you might be seeing family that travels that you don't get to see all of the time, extended family. But again, of course, respecting boundaries. So I'm a big hugger, and I think that's a quick 20-second way to just find some happiness.
My family is all about movies, so we're food and movie people. So we always turn on holiday movies. So we'll watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, different movies, that are classics throughout the time. We may not even watch it while we're sitting there. We may just, I don't know, like chat or get up and go graze in the kitchen, but it's still on.
Right.
And those are times I still hold on to where I'm like, oh yeah, we watched the movie, but we may not have even watched it. Who knows?
We'd always sit around and play games after our meal, and that was some of the funnest most fun times. Is just playing. I can't even think. Mexican Train, dominoes, hand and foot, things like that. I mean, we'd sit for hours and hours and play games. And now that we have little ones in the family, it's hard to get those games in. But sharing family memories, I think, is great. But also being cognizant of if somebody's going through a depressive state, of losing a loved one, that the memories aren't triggering worse thoughts or putting them in a more of a depressed mood.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. And back to Afton's movie watching, don't hesitate to put on those closed captions if you need to, if you'd like to enjoy the movie and maybe need a little extra help. Those are a great tool. And I think also, Julie, along with with games, I think crafts are nice too. You guys could decorate an ornament or do something fun like that with the kids. And I think that might be a little bit more engaging to them. And there's no rules. It's just paint this and have a good time.
That's true.
You mentioned moments too. Setting your expectation for finding joy in moments rather than finding joy in the whole day. Because it's not going to be maybe what it was 20 years ago. If you're talking about someone that's got a cognitive issue or that's just a much older person, capturing moments of joy, whether it be a picture or a recording or just sitting around and telling a story, that's where it's all at.
Mm-hmm. And as our generations, as our families, our parents, our grandparents, as they pass away, and we're constantly starting new traditions and new things, and do what works for you. If a past tradition is not suited to your family now, then create your own. Yeah, there's no harm in that.
And with creating those moments, also reflecting on them afterwards. I like to do little reflections. At our house, we like to do 2 roses and a thorn, where it's the 2 happy things that happened today and maybe one that was the thorn in your side that was bothering you. So then you get a chance to reflect on what you did through the day, and it helps you be a little more mindful of what you want to see more.
That's kind of a fun idea. I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, every day. And even if it's just in your own journal, it doesn't have to be with somebody, but you can definitely journal or something like that. What else do you guys want to talk about? Encouragement for caregivers. A lot of us might be caregivers for aging adults, older adults, people with disabilities, self-care.
Self-care is a good one. I think Mark could probably speak to what can we do to support caregivers in our life because, I'm not a caregiver. My mom is. So, maybe there are ways, what kind of support maybe would you have liked, Mark, when your mom was in the nursing home?
That's a good point. Good question. Time, you get to where your schedule gets so busy with all the different things. If you could just come prepared to say, hey, how about I do this for you? How about I mow your yard when I'm here? Instead of saying, what can I do for you? Say, hey, can I go get groceries for you? Or can I do this or that? Because the standard answer is always no. It's all good. It's like when you go to the car lot and you need to buy a car, your car's on fire. The salesman walks up to you and says, can I help you? You say, no, I'm just looking, even though you have to buy a car right then. That's what it's like as a caregiver too. You think I need to, I got this under control and everything. But if you come to him with some ideas in advance, and on the flip side, if the caregiver has some ideas in advance of what they need, that way when the person says, hey, how can I help you? Now you got a list for them. Oh, here you go. Bring out the list, and it's like Santa Claus. I got the big list for you. Do these, this, because you got to get it all done. And it's regardless of any type of caregiving, it's going to be a full day every day.
I think we're all just kind of programmed to think, I'm okay, I got this. And we're just hesitant to ask for help regardless. I mean, that's just, it's like hitting a button, and that's just what comes out of our mouths is, I got this, I don't need you to do anything. But take advantage of offers. And like Mark said, offer specific things. Mom, can I bake the turkey for you this year, or Dad, you sit down, I'll do the dishes, or, whatever the case might be, offer specific ways to assist.
Well, and something that I found to be really impactful for me is I have trouble asking for help, but someone pointed out to me that, asking for help also makes other people feel good. Mm-hmm. So if I'm like, hey, Julie, can you help me with this? You're going to get the warm fuzzies from being able to help me too. So it's I get help, you get to feel good about it. So it's a win-win situation.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and I always like to remind people who are afraid to ask for help, it's okay to ask for help and just trust that the other people in your life are going to say yes or no based on what they can do for you. And just trust them. If they say they can do it for you, let them do that and know that they gave you the honest answer. Because I think sometimes we're afraid of being a burden, and so we don't want to ask for help. But I always say, well, I trust the people in my life to tell me no if they need to, and then I'll find a secondary source.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, is notice when you're overloaded too. Mm-hmm. So maybe, just being mindful of, well, I can't make the turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, everything on this list, and wrap presents, and, be a caregiver. I have to be 3 of these things. Mm-hmm. I have to do 3 of these things. Julie, you're going to have to help me.
One's got to go. So for our listeners out there, if the holidays are feeling a little heavy on you this year, just know that you're not alone. You do have support system, whether you know it or not. There's a lot of probably neighbors, friends, family, agencies that can step in for assistance and to help you navigate the challenges that you might be facing.
And these holidays go quick, so if you're not enjoying it, it'll go by faster than you think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So a good wrapping point here is to remember also that joy doesn't come from a perfect holiday. It comes from connections, being present in the moment, and treating each other with patience and kindness.
Well said.
Yeah. So anybody have any final thoughts? Mark, any closing words from you?
I just really love that. I setting expectations of the Christmas season, not overselling it to yourself, but saying, I'm going to find a few nuggets of joy. I'm going to capture them as best I can and cling to them the rest of my life. I've always loved the holidays.
Speaking of which, what is your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday? Holiday movie or my holiday?
No,
when you was talking about movies, I was thinking, planes, trains, and automobiles. I gotta get that back out. It's almost Thanksgiving. I'm a Christmas person. I've always loved Christmas. I have since I was a little kid. And I've made it obnoxious at my house my whole life for my kids. So, yeah, it's fun.
Definitely Christmas. What about you, Taylee?
I don't know that I have a favorite holiday. Can I say my birthday? No.
Just you have
kidding.
A birthday month?
Yeah. No, I don't know. My family, I adore them. We use any holiday as an excuse to get together. So I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to have a favorite. Mm-hmm. I do really enjoy fireworks. So maybe 4th of July. But really, I just really enjoy any opportunity to hang out with my family. Mm-hmm. So we do it all. Labor Day, Memorial Day, even Easter, even sometimes St. Patrick's Day, just all of them. We're using it as an excuse to have a cookout.
Football Sundays.
Yes.
Afton, do you have a favorite?
Mine would probably be a tie between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I love them both. Those were the big holidays for my family, and it was always good quality time. So it always is good quality time.
Yeah. I'm kind of like Taylee. We get together a lot for all the birthdays and all the holidays and cookouts and football. And if I had to pick a favorite, I'm thinking I might have to say like Halloween or Easter, just because I love seeing the kids having so much fun also.
So fun fact, I said Halloween once to Amy, our other coworker, and she said that's not an actual holiday. It's not actually a holiday because it's not recognized by the federal government.
Well, in our family, it's a holiday.
Because I kind of said the same thing. I was like, well, I really enjoy seeing all the little kids and their cute costumes. And I just enjoy how excited they are to tell you what they are, like what their costume is.
Well, what a fun show. I hope our listeners have gained some insight and some helpful information and maybe learned a few ways to recognize if somebody is overly stressed or depressed during the holidays, and maybe heard some solutions and some good ways to help overcome those challenges. So, guys, thanks for your input today, and I hope everybody had a good day.
Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you have any episode ideas or questions, feel free to email us at marketing@empowerabilities.org. You can feel free to listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Visit our website and get involved.